What's up, guys? If you watched part one of Chris Dominguez's episode, that was more about his football story. And then we decided to split it up into two because there was just so much information. Part two is more about for parents and for athletes that are really interested in eligibility and career choices. That's all the nitty gritty stuff and what Chris does working for his nonprofit, the Leadership Learning Center down in Little Havana, my hometown as well. So part two is more about that. So hope you guys stay tuned. Enjoy.
So graduating Heidelberg, I graduated with actually 2 degrees.
Nice.
Yeah. So I graduated with a degree in business, business administration with a focus in marketing, and then a degree in sports management with a focus in marketing.
What you got what you wanted.
Yeah, man. So
You got to play football along the way.
yeah, 100%, man. So I went from not getting the good degree I wanted to getting 2 degrees, So once again, I go back to it. It was a great experience. Probably do it all the same again. I learned a lot from it, but the discipline that I learned at Air Force Academy gave me the tools I needed to be successful in Heidelberg.
Yeah, bro. That was your foundation, I feel like.
Yeah, man. It was like that wake-up call. Boom.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you need to be successful on your own. Okay. And I got to Heidelberg. And I also think one of the benefits is classroom size, man.
Oof. You didn't talk about that. Yep.
Classroom size is huge. At the Air Force Academy, classroom was about 25, 30. It's kind of like a high school classroom.
Mm-hmm.
FIU, it's huge.
Yeah, auditoriums. Yeah.
Yeah, auditorium, 100, 150 kids, 200, whatever. And then Heidelberg, this small private school, it was, 15, 20 kids.
When my grades were the best in school, the smaller the classroom got, but the better my grades got. And that's not a coincidence because as soon as the professor sees that I'm not there, they would email my coach. And by that day, I'm getting punished as practice. Like, oh, you didn't go to this class or you were 10 minutes late to this class? Don't worry about it. Start running gassers.
Yeah, man.
So holding you accountable is definitely good with a small classroom.
Yeah. And then, just like, like I said earlier, the kind of learner I am, if I'm there engaged, pick up things quick. Yeah. So in this small classroom, it was easy to get engaged and easy to ask the teacher questions and stuff like that. And I was always spot on. And then since the classroom was so small, you build that relationship, open office, you would go and speak to the teachers and they would always help out. So it was a really great experience. The discipline I learned from the Air Force Academy translated perfectly, helped me out. My buddy, Jose Sanchez, unfortunately for him, he didn't have that discipline. So my sophomore year, he was my roommate. And then the next year, he wasn't my roommate because
just like that.
His grades slipped. He lost whatever, financial aid he had. He had to go home for a year.
Guys, that's a good topic. Thank you for saying that. Sometimes the only reason why you're getting that academic help, like that financial aid, is because of what Chris just said. Like if your GPA drops to a certain point, you can get on academic probation. I've been on that before. It sucks. So they take away. So on top of taking a class again because you didn't pass it, they take money. Well, not take money from you, but they're going to give you less help. You have to take the class again and then get back to the same standing you were at before when you're getting that financial aid. So if you don't want to get in that hole, do what Chris and I did, which was we saw academic help on our free time. It is a sacrifice, but at least you get the equal amount of money or more money.
Yeah, man, that's the biggest thing. And I saw him go through extreme struggles, bro.
Oh yeah. Turns the pressure on.
Yeah. And depression because, everyone's out getting their education, playing football, and he's at home grinding, working, trying to retake a class and then get the money so that he can
time job.
Yeah. And then get the money so that he can come back to school. And then, depending on, what financial aid it is, you might have to do a semester or a year without it. School's expensive, bro.
And guys, when you're choosing a school, the division that you're in matters as far as how money is administered. So in D3, that academic money, that's it.
Yep.
That's it. So like, even if a coach wants Chris to go to their school, they're going to give Chris money, but it's going to be how we say it in Spanish, a la izquierda. So like, they're going to give Chris academic money to cover most or all of his education, but that's academic money. So if your grades fall, bye-bye to that money.
Yeah. It might be a la izquierda, but you still have to keep the
Meet
requirements.
the requirements.
So, whatever it is, 2.5, 3.0, depending on how much money you're getting. So it's important, man. And at the end of the day, like it's your education. So, whether it's for football or not, dude, keep your grades up because it only benefits you, So I saw my buddy struggle, boom, going to senior year. And it was a dope experience. Once again, we're in contention to win our conference, playing well, playing with Dante. I'm officially the full-time starter on the other side. And then we had a pretty legit running back, man. I'm pretty sure he still holds the NCAA record for most rushing yards in a game.
Wow.
It was like 385.
Almost 400? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It was honestly the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life, man. Like, they stacked the box. They knew it was coming, but
didn't matter.
Yeah, dude. So senior year came, we played 6 games. We're balling, our only competition in our minds is, Mount Union, the best team in the nation. And we played John Carroll, got smacked.
Yeah.
They had,
too.
Yeah, man. They had this quarterback. He was a transfer dude that went to Pitt. Just didn't do so well in Pitt. Transferred to the school, and bro, that guy lit us up. Like, it was crazy, and you could tell the difference between a quarterback that needs to be in D1.
Oh yeah,
someone that needs to be in D3. That guy was, dotting us up. And he was a lefty. Cheese. Yeah, and it still looked great when he did it. So it was a cool experience. Graduated, finished. I ended up, my senior year of football was my senior year of education, but I took 2 classes.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, 2 classes, which were my final 2 degree classes, which I had put off so that I can do that. And then you have to have 12 credits. So that was 4, 8. And then my next 2 classes were like golf and it was golf and introduction to Chicago, or cities and societies.
Okay.
And, we learned about Chicago all semester, and then we took a trip to Chicago.
Sign me up.
Yeah. So that was a cool experience. Graduated, boom, come back home. My first job coming home was working for the Miami Dolphins.
Really?
Yeah, man. Okay. It was a cool experience. I was finishing up, and the girl I was seeing at the time, she was working for the Dolphins. So it was kind of an easy in. She got me into work, game day operations. So, when you go to the Dolphins game and they have the pop-ups and all the interactive zones and all that, the fun zones.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I did. I would set them up, run them, man them, and then tear them down and put them away. I also worked in youth programs. So whenever the Dolphins go to a school and hold a pep rally, or when they hold a fair, or kind of like a training camp event, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, any kind of like youth outreach program kind of thing.
I ran that. So, dude.
So is that what led you to the career you're in now? Is that always something you wanted to do, or?
Kind of. So, like growing up, I always wanted to have a kind of like a center for kids, but I wanted it to be athletes. So kind of like what you're doing, help these high school athletes who weren't as like advanced, or didn't know so much about sports or the recruiting process, or weren't good at school, like help them make that transition, or help them meet all the requirements so they can transition from high school to college. So that's,
nice. We had the same idea. Okay, cool.
So, that's kind of what I wanted to do. So getting into the youth program, I was like, okay, this is cool. I like working with kids. Let's do this for a little bit. Was doing it, did well. And then an opportunity to work for Dolphin Stadium, Hard Rock, as operations. So I would help them set up whatever events, all this came up. I I worked for them for 2 weeks. Like
a whopping 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was still on the youth programs, but like we didn't have any youth events, so I was helping them set up the stadium, do all these things for 2 weeks. Then at the end of the 2 weeks, there was a job interview, right? Because the position was open. So, dude, I worked for 2 weeks with them, did the whole job. I got to the job interview, and then, this was my mistake for assuming, I got to the job interview, it was with the guy I had been working with this whole time. And then, basic job interview questions. He tells me the salary, this, that. And he says, do you have any questions? And I said, no. I didn't have any questions because I just spent the last 2 weeks, 10 hours a day, like going through the job. So I didn't need to know like what the schedule was like. I didn't need to know what I had to do or who I would be working with. So my interview was very bland. Didn't ask any questions, didn't say anything. And then this was like literally my first official interview, right? So I was also very new to it.
Yeah.
So they asked me a question at the end, if you could have superpowers, what superpowers would it be? And I said, I would like to be super fast like the Flash. Flash has always been my favorite superhero. So it was just like an easy answer.
Right.
And then he said, why? And then I said, so I can do everything super quickly and then I can just chill. Right?
So he can write that off as lazy.
Super. Off rip.
This guy's done.
Yeah.
Forget this Chris Dominguez guy.
Yeah. So I didn't ask any questions. I didn't show, I guess,
interest,
a lot of interest or like enthusiasm. And then I gave that answer that comes off as lazy. All right. Leave the interview. My girl at the time was like, oh, how'd it go? I'm like, killed it. It was awesome.
I said Flash at the end.
Yeah. Awesome. Right. Sure enough, they obviously had some more candidates. I find out that they offered someone else the job.
First impression, guys, super important.
Yeah. And then also something that's big that goes on this is it's not always about what you know, but sometimes who you know.
Yeah.
So the person that they offered the job to was some kid they had never seen. They had never seen him work, but someone gave him a recommendation. All right.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah. And his interview was probably way better than mine. But,
probably said Batman.
So, I find out they don't offer me the job. And then the guy I was working for in youth programs, his name was Nick Cremarco, awesome dude, one of the best bosses I've ever had in my life. He comes up to me and he goes, hey, Chris, I want to speak to you. So I spoke to the guy, I forgot his name, the hiring manager for the job. And he's like, you told me your interview was awful. He told me that you didn't say much. You didn't ask many questions, and you didn't seem enthused. And then, me talking to Nick, I'm like trying to defend myself instead of just like sitting there listening. And then I was like, but I went through the job for the 2 weeks. Like, why would I have to ask questions? Like, they know how I work, like this, that, and the other. Yeah. And then he's like, yeah, but, like a rule in interviewing, always, first impression.
Turn on the charm.
Yeah. First impression.
I'd like to add something in there. I haven't chimed in this whole podcast, but I have such a problem with a lot of the interviewing process because, man, at my job that I do besides this, I'm involved in a lot of the interviewing and a lot of the question format is so obnoxious and it's very patronizing and I don't know if it's HR trying to be hip or what it is, like, if you were Marvel, what superhero would you be? Like, I don't know, like, can you get any cornier than that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, people are going to lie to you. It's like a lot of times I feel like in the interviewing processes, you're trying to find out how good people are at lying because you were honest and then you got punished.
Yeah.
Who's going to say, who's going to give an honest answer when they ask you, if you had one wish, what will you do? Who's gonna say they want to be with a porn star? Yeah. People are not gonna give whatever their honest thing is. You know, they're gonna be like, I'm
something
else. So world hunger. You know what I mean? That's why it's corny, man. You know, like why you put people through that? A lot of times, I feel like, man, like you get so many duds, you get so many employees that are terrible, but are amazing at interviewing. Like there's people that are professional, bro. Like at my job, I've been involved with a lot of interviews, and there's people that are professional interviewers, and then when they comes to the job are horrible. And a lot of times, people that don't give good interviews just because they're honest, to give you a better, they're a better person, a better worker. I don't know. It's just I hate interviews.
Yeah. So in my current job, I do a lot of the interviews, and I agree with what you say, man. There's, people, we have a worker. She's kind of our program assistant. She does a lot of the cleaning or the snack stuff. My interview with her personally was awful. She's a like a Hispanic lady from Nicaragua. She's worked in a cafeteria before. She's cleaned houses, right? And I know that because she's one of my students' moms. So I've seen how she works. I've seen the things she does. My administrative assistant knows her personally and knows all the great things she does. Yeah. When I sat and I interviewed with her, she was awful, but I knew the work she could do. So I hired her and translated perfectly. Right? She does a great job, super organized, super great with the kids, super great with the snacks, all of this. And then there's other people that I've had in my job that come in and give me a great interview, and my boss loves it. And I'm like,
you get like catfish.
Too good.
Yeah, like she's just feeding us what we want to hear. And sure enough, those people come and, suck butt. But so going back to the Dolphins thing, my boss Nick tells me, he says you weren't enthused, and then he goes, okay. He goes, and the worst part, what did you tell him for your superpowers? It's like Flash, so I could do all the work super fast. And then he goes, and what did you say at the end? I was like, so I can chill. And sure enough, he goes,
honest answer,
Chris, do you see how lazy that sounds? And I'm like, oh,
I get it now. The light bulb went off.
Damn. Like, damn. And then, a great thing about this dude, Nick, was like, he's like, it's all right, whatever. What we're going to do is you're going to send me your resume, and you and I are going to practice on doing interviews. Right? Sent the dude my resume, and then he would practice with me, bro. And he was honest with me. And one of the things he told me was, always do your best because you never know who's watching. Always do your best because you never know who's watching, and the next opportunity might walk in that door. And dude, it's what I live by, and
it's a good one.
Yeah. The dude helped me out. So they ended up giving that other guy the job. The guy obviously was a great interview, said he could do a bunch of things, and I don't even think the guy lasted a month at the job. Got rid of him. They wanted to offer me a job, or they wanted me to work under them for a little bit. I was way too prideful. Said nah, and then I ended up just leaving the Dolphins. My buddy Nick, he's like, hey, look, man, there's this opportunity to go work at the Marlins. I know some people there. Let's work on your resume. Let's do these things so that, you can go and get a job there. So he helped me out. He put in a few calls. Sure enough, I got a job to work for the Miami Marlins. So I went from Miami Dolphins to the Miami Marlins. And the Marlins, I was working marketing.
Right along with your major.
Yeah, man. So it was pretty dope. It was a pretty cool experience. Working in pro sports is awesome. You meet a lot of people, great events. Dude, I did a bunch of events. And the year I worked for the Marlins was the year, unfortunately, that...
this guy passed away?
Yeah.
The pitcher, I forgot his name.
So I was there. So the start of the year, great. Did all these events. all these cool things, went a lot of places, met people at the Heat, more people at the Dolphins. Dude, it was crazy. Honestly, work-wise, and partying-wise, it was one of my wildest years.
Yeah.
Just because, working in pro sports, did a bunch of things. But I also found myself enjoying the youth events more than anything.
Okay.
Right? So we would do an event. I did an event at Ball and Chain, and it was like a bunch of drunk, obnoxious adults.
Right.
Right. And then
You do a youth event, you're like, wow.
this is so much better.
Yeah.
Like putting in the work for the youth event was so much more gratifying than
Feels good, man.
Yeah, putting in the work for the adults. So I did that for a year. But pro sports is very demanding, dude. There's no holidays. There's no
Yeah, because they play on the holidays.
Yeah,
so,
man. There's
yeah.
no real days off, a baseball game that starts at 7:00. Dude, I'm at the stadium at 11:00 in the morning to start
Prepping
setting
everything.
up
Yeah.
and leaving at 11, 12 o'clock at night.
There's a lot of baseball games.
Yeah. God forbid the baseball game goes into extra innings, and
Mhm.
yeah, it was crazy. So it's a lot, man. And I found myself when I was working with the Dolphins and the Marlins losing the love for sports, which to me was crazy, dude.
Because you were on the more of the business side of things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
My whole life has been sports, and I was getting home and like turning off a football game, or
Yeah.
turning off like ESPN, and I'm like, wait a second, like.
This is what I love, supposedly.
Yeah. So it was very demanding. And then I was like, yeah, it's time to go, So at the end of the year, the job was only for a year. So at the end of it, I'm like, dude, I need to go somewhere else, So what do I like doing, And I had a conversation with my mom and my aunt, and they're like, what do you like to do? Like what makes you feel good? And they told me to look for a job that makes you feel good and not look for money or not look for,
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Right?
Do something that you love and then find a way to like make money off of it.
Yep.
So,
Bingo.
My mom was like, you don't want to work with kids. You don't want to work with kids. Like, you're always so good with kids. Kids are always like, like good around you. They're always like attracted to you. So like, you don't want to work with kids. I was like, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. So I was kind of in this like limbo for a little bit, and I picked up personal training.
Okay.
So my little brother was a personal trainer. So I picked up a strength and conditioning book.
Okay.
So I got my certification in strength and conditioning, and then became a personal trainer for a little bit. And that was cool. It was great. Training clients. You train clients.
Yeah.
So it's very heavy in the morning and very heavy in the evening.
Weird hours.
Right?
Yeah.
So like I was doing a lot, and then I found this like giant gap in my day, which I would work out, but then I would just be chilling. And once again, my mom, came, and she was like, Papi, you have all this like dead time, like, you sure you don't want to do something with kids? Like, like every time I see you, like my vision is you working with kids. And then I was like, all right,
Moms are so insightful, bro.
Right?
It's crazy.
Right? So I was like, all right, mom, just so you leave me alone, like, let me see what I can find, So I'm on Indeed. I'm looking for like coaching, this and that. I did Up to Us Sports. I coached flag football. And then like I found another post for Up to Us Sports, and it was a coach. And then I was like, okay, looked it up. So it was kind of like a coach / tutor. So I was like, all right, let me check this out. So I go to the interview, a lot more enthusiastic, a lot more energetic, asking questions and stuff. So the position was a fitness coach, but it was also kind of like think of kind of like a big brother, big sister, right? So they were going to put me, the goal was to put me into a school, right? A school that was struggling, right? In an impoverished neighborhood, to be kind of a guide, a leader to these kids. I would teach them fitness, but I was also helping them with like literacy in school, mathematics.
It's a big role.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay. And they were like, you know, you guys aren't certified to teach or anything, so it's going to be more geared to, you know, the coaching. Perfectly fine. So I get placed in this school in Little Haiti, Jesse J. McCrary.
Okay.
Go to the school, and as soon as I get there, it was like a kind of like a cultural shock to me. Like I walked in and I was like, holy shit.
Like, this is where you go to school?
Yeah, like this is a real elementary school in like the United States of America. Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like I remember I tried to walk in the front door and there was a steel door and you could tell that there was a push bar there. But the push, right, because the door was stained from where it used to be.
Mm.
So there was no more push bar. What they did was they got like wire, like, you know, like the adapter for your computer, wrapped it around the door hole and left like the exposed wire. And that's what these elementary school kids were pulling to open the door.
Sheesh.
It was the craziest thing ever. I was like,
Because a lot of people don't know that the funding for a school depends on their grade. So if they're in a bad area, the grade is not as good as a good area, therefore less funding. And then it's just like a vicious cycle every year.
100%. So like, it was crazy to me, you know? So I was in this school, and then, you know, funding, it could have been funding. It could have been, you know, just the people there. I didn't know how much they were receiving. So I can't say that it was bad, like management.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was there, that's what I thought it was, bad
Yeah.
management. You know, so we were supposed to be coaching fitness or helping coach fitness and then helping in the classrooms. It turned out that I was running PE by myself, right? A dude who doesn't have an education degree, right? I did have my strength and conditioning certification,
Right.
but that's not to teach a PE class,
No.
you know? So I was teaching a PE class by myself. And I was like, dude, I'm doing it because like I'm doing it for the kids, but like something's not
But
right.
this is a paid role. This is something.
Yeah. And on
This is a
top of
career.
that, like if something happens, if a kid gets hurt,
You're liable. Yeah.
yeah, like, you know, I don't have all the accreditation to do this. So then I reached out to my supervisor and I'm like, hey, look, you know, like they have me running the PE for every school, like every class. Like I was the PE teacher. I would just wait outside and then the PE classes were just coming to me. And I was like, you know, like I'm doing it for the kids, but I don't really feel comfortable.
Not professional,
because, you know, like if something happens, I don't want to be held liable. So then my supervisor reaches out. Okay, the principal says, all right, I'm going to get it solved. They take me out of PE. So now the kids in the entire school don't have PE. All right. So,
It's a lose-lose.
yep. They put me to be security guard at the front of the building and then to teach first grade math.
How do you get there?
So I did it for like 2 or 3 days thinking they were going to switch me. Like it was just
Yeah.
momentarily until they figured it out. Right.
No, sir.
No switch. And I reach out to my boss again. I'm like, look, I don't want to be like complaining or I don't want to be like a nag, but like I'm working security and like they have me teaching a first grade math class. And then he's like, all right, let me see what I could do. You know? So boom, I have to wait another week. He finally gives me a call and he's like, hey, look, I don't want you to go back for the rest of the month. Next month, we're going to put you in a new place. Cool. So I finished. It was like a week or two. And then that's when I get located here in Little Havana. So it's where I currently work.
What's the name of the place?
It's called Leadership Learning Center at St. John Bosco. So it's a youth enrichment program here in Little Havana. It caters to students from kinder through 12th grade of the Little Havana community. So a lot of the kids here come from undocumented families. So they're either at or below the poverty line, you know, whether it's because mom and dad can't get a job or they're working 2 to 3 jobs that they're getting paid under the table.
Yep.
You know, so I got placed there just to be the PE coach. So it was a little bit better. But when I got there, it was kind of like a moment of like realization, or like I had an epiphany, right? I got there, I saw this center, I worked with the kids for like a month, and I was like, my goal, my whole life, or my dream job is to own a center like this, but for sports. And in teaching all these kids sports, I noticed that there was so many kids that needed guidance, that needed help, that needed kind of like
some kind of structure. Yeah.
But that they didn't like sports. So I had like this moment that clicked where I was like, if I just focus on sports, I lose so many kids.
Yep.
Right? Like, by just saying I want a sports-oriented center, like, look at all these kids that won't have
they don't fall into that classification.
That won't have this opportunity. So like, once I had that like moment, like that click, I was like, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to be.
What a good feeling, huh?
Right? Yeah. So then like I noticed that not only was I just the coach, but working in the nonprofit world, and especially like education and stuff, there's not a lot of male figures. Right now I have 30 employees and I'm one of 3 males. Everyone else is female.
That's it.
Yeah. So I noticed that by me being there, me teaching them sports, me teaching them to be disciplined in their sports, right? And me being a male, I was giving a lot of these kids the guidance and like the support that they needed. So to me, the Leadership Learning Center was like, this is where I need to work, right? So I was officially hired by them. Like I stopped working for the nonprofit Up to Us. And then I started working for the Leadership Learning Center, full time there. I was still just the PE coach. I was still training in the mornings and then after. But then, some things happened. People were doing some dirty things in the leadership.
It was like financially, right? Financial stuff, right? Yeah. I remember you told me that.
People made some bad decisions. They stole some money, which belonged to the kids, which
that's some grimy shit, bro.
Yeah. So it came to the light that the dude who currently holds my position was stealing. They fired him. And then, I made the decision to ask, like, hey, what does his job entail? What does he do? Right. What is he in charge of? What are his requirements? And then they gave me, kind of his job description.
And what was the name of that job? Or like
so it was when he had it, he was the assistant director.
Okay.
So it was like the director.
You run the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it showed me that he paid all the invoices. It showed me that he did scheduling. It showed me that he did, like he was in charge of donations. He was in charge of hiring. He was in charge of scheduling the daily activities for the kids. So a bunch of stuff. And as I'm reading this, like his job description, I'm like, dude, I've done this. I've done this. I've done this. I've done this. All
those events prepped you for that, right?
Correct. Yeah. So like when I was at the Marlins, I was running events and I was picking the staff that was working the events. When I was working at the Dolphins, I was working with kids. I used to work with my uncle, working with kids, setting up events, making payments, paying invoices. So everything literally lined up, and then that's why I feel like, that's the place where I needed to be.
Yeah. Your journey took you and prepared you for that point, for that job.
And, like it's what I wanted to do. My view of what I wanted to do changes. Like I had to go through all that like awful stuff in Little Haiti to get to get put in this school in Little Havana. The guy has to do his grimy stuff so that he gets fired. And then like I see the job description and I'm like,
this is my dream job.
This is what I need to do. So I applied, I gave him my resume, went in for the interview, and then
that's not your first one. So now you're good. You're good to go now.
Yeah. And once again, when it came to this interview, I reached out to my old boss, Nick, sent him my thing, sent him my interview, went over, practiced some things. And then I got into their interview, and then, that's when I learned that you got to sell yourself.
Oh yeah.
It's
competition.
Yeah. You gotta make them, you gotta give them what they want to hear, right? You got to elaborate on everything. So, I let them know what's up. And then growing up as a kid, I was a tough kid. I had, ADD, I had dyslexia. I was a tough kid, They used to call me Terremoto and Puya. Yeah, so already what kind of kid I was. My grandfather never hit any of us except me. He hit me, so like.
I wanna jump in there for something as far as when it comes to interviewing and when it comes to selling yourself at a job. Like if there's a $10,000 car and you can get it for 9, why are you gonna get it for 11? You can get it for 9. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you go into an interview, you're working for companies are for profit. So if the job posted 65, they were willing to pay you 75, but they can get you for 55. Why are they not gonna do it?
Yeah.
So like. Sell yourself, and it's super important. I think even if you're desperate for a job, even if you are, it's super important not to. Even if you are, and it's like you said, it's always great to say, okay, I'm gonna think about it as well, and also to have a number to know your worth. Look, all of us, anybody that's been part of the labor force at a certain point in your life, you work for whatever, because it is what it is. You got to work. You need a paycheck. All right. But when you're considering a position, you're studying for the position. Like when you're preparing yourself, don't settle. Like if you're already doing the crappy job, why would you leave a crappy job for another crappy job? No. Okay. Stay at the crappy job until you get the good one, whatever,
upgrade. Yeah.
But when you're going to upgrade, sell yourself, don't settle, and know your number, man.
Yeah.
Once again, it's a balance, of course, because it's not just about the number. It's about being at a place where you can do something that you're passionate about, but at the same time, you're valuable.
Yeah, and just to touch up on what you said, ask questions, right? I think a lot of people get this perception that it's the company
one-sided.
Yeah, like grilling you. But this is both ways, because it's a big decision. You're going to come here every day. So you need to know that this fits you. So ask your questions, what is a company, like questions that I ask is, or what do you guys do to help growth? What do you guys see? Or what do you guys gauge as success at this position? Or what do you guys do in terms of employee relations?
Or what are your expectations?
Those kind of things. Because you got to see if it's a good fit for you. Because if it's not, you're going to be miserable. You're not going to do a good job. And then you're going to want to leave or you're going to get fired. So it's not one-sided. This is an interview for both parties. You got to know if that fits for you. We got to know that you fit for us, right? This is mutually, yeah. I think that's big because a lot of people just get so nervous, and then they walk out without asking any questions, get the job, and then they just hate it.
Yeah.
So if you can travel in time and talk to your younger self, all right, young Chris, Terremoto, what would you tell him?
So if I can go back, right, if I could have the opportunity to travel back, I would travel back to freshman year, Chris.
Freshman year of college or high school?
High school.
Okay.
And I would make him work a little harder. So that discipline and that grind that I learned my junior and senior year of high school, and then what I learned in the Air Force, if I would have learned that discipline, that like grind going into my freshman year, Air Force Academy is not the only scholarship I get. If I was as disciplined and devoted to the grind, to working out, to perfecting my craft, that I did when after the Air Force, and then, you know, that summer I stayed in college, I'd be a whole different animal, a whole different breed. And I think all of us would, if
100%.
you know, the grind you have now, if you would have shown that when you were in high school, you know, you're a whole different animal. So I think that, and I would also tell myself that, you know, like, you don't have to be like a lone ranger. You don't have to do everything on your own. Like, you don't have to be egotistical in the sense where, like, I guess maybe it comes from football. Like, I'm a man, I'm tough, I could do this.
Right.
But like, you could do it
It's a team
same
sport.
thing with everybody.
Yep.
You know, you can, right? Like, it doesn't have to be a dog eat dog or I win, you lose. Everybody can win.
Miami's very like that.
Yeah. Everybody can grind together. Everybody can be successful. There's enough resources. There's enough, you know, jobs. There's enough money. There's enough positions out there for everyone.
I've touched on that in comparison to being a trainer. I have a lot of friends that are trainers. There's a million trainers in Miami. And I've never once thought I'm going to try to take your clients because that's the only way I can succeed is by tearing you down. You know, but a lot of people are like that. Like you said, dog eat dog world.
Yeah, I think, but it comes from, I think it comes from how,
Our environment for sure.
yeah, you know, like, you know, in school, they tell you get good grades. If not, someone else is going to get, you know, that spot, right? If you don't go to college and get your degree, someone else is going to get that job.
Yep.
Or if you don't do this, do that, someone else. So the culture we have is that of a competitive culture, me versus you, right? It's
which I agree with some of it. Life is a competition, but like you said earlier, it's possible for all of us to succeed. It's not just you or me. That's a very small hole to look through life. You know what I mean?
I think we need to shift it from me competing versus you to you competing versus yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Like, try to be better than you were yesterday. Try to improve on yourself. You're only competing with yourself. You can't compare your story to the next guy's story. You can't compare your grind to their grind because we all have different paths. We all have different experiences. We all have different upbringing.
Yeah.
So once you start comparing, then like that's when you lose.
Fall off your path a little bit.
You know, something that's very important is statistics. Statistics are very important. And I found out about statistics, especially in the labor force. I was about 24. And so I had started going to college when I was about 20 and I dropped out. So I was thinking of going back. And I was looking at what other things, I started listening to NPR. I made a few changes. I had a wild teenage and then I made a few changes in my 20s. And I started listening to the NPR a lot, like started trying to kind of change what I was, the content I was putting in my head, you know? And I was listening to a program where he was talking about decisions that people make when it comes to going to school and careers. And where people think, oh, I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to be a engineer, I'm going to be whatever the decision people make based on what they think things are going to be like versus the reality of your area. Because every area has a different reality for professions. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, a dental hygienist or a dentist or a barber. Man, a barber could kill it in Miami, but a barber is not going to kill it maybe in Gainesville. You know, so like, depending on where you are, like in New York, there's some lawyers in New York that are broke, you know? Mm-hmm. So depending where you are, so I went into the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics and I started looking into what I could do for the least amount of money for my education. So that's when I got into water treatment. I do water. I treat water plants. I work at water plants, and the money that I needed to take the necessary courses for licensing and to pass a state exam, all in all, we're going to be like about $1,000, right? So then after that, I had to do a year of like in-house training at a water plant for like a lower wage. And once I had that, once I had the exam passed and a year of time of experience, I could get my first license. which with that license, I started getting paid as somebody that spent 2 years in college. The second license takes 3 years, and the third license takes 5 years, which I have all those licenses already. I've been in business for almost 10 years, but I don't have student debt.
That's huge.
I don't have student debt, and I get paid what somebody would get paid for 6 or 7 years of college. You know what I mean? And so I think it's very important to look into, and the reason I got into the field is because I looked into what they were talking about in NPR, and then I saw the number of people retiring for this particular career in Florida was way higher than the people are coming into the business. You can look, you go, and I got my water treatment license when I was 25, 26, and there were about 8,000 licensed water plant operators at the time, and 600 under 30. Out of the 8,000, there were only 600 under 30. You know what that means?
A lot of people are leaving eventually. Yeah.
Well, that means that right now, the position I'm in, there's only a few guys at the position. The years of experience I'm at now, because like we gotten a little flooded now with training, with new people coming in. That's fine. That's great.
But no one has the experience yet.
But at 10 years, we're still the same 600 guys. At 10 years of experience, those 600 guys under 30, when we're now 34, 35, there's the same 600 guys that with 10 years of experience. You know what I mean? So it's very important to whatever career you want to get into, because it might be in sports, right? And you know, we've talked in the past in this podcast how a lot of times when you're uneducated and informed, you love sports and you think that all you can do is play a sport. But if you love it, there's so many careers in
all sports. Yeah.
It's a huge industry. Yeah. There's careers for designers, careers for the medical, career for broadcasting, careers for business. There's just so many sales. And so you could like to, like, let's say you're an artist, right? Let's say like you're artistic and you could like graphic design or broadcasting. It might be the same for you, right? But there's a shortage in broadcasters where there's a surplus of graphic designers. If you go to look at the statistics, you can make an educated choice that'll pan out to a good future versus. So the reason I'm plugging this in is because you were saying there is enough resource for everybody. Yes. But what happens to a lot of us is we don't look at the statistics, and everybody got on, you know, like it's like the train. Some careers are saturated, bro. It's like 50 people got in the first car, bro. There's another car, get on the next one. That career is saturated. There could be another career similar, like in the same field and the same. Just you got to pivot a little bit, and there's nobody there. You know, that's facts.
You know, I like that you brought that up, and it's actually something that we do at our center. Last year, a year and a half ago, it's something that I brought to my center for our high school students. So it's the Professional Career Series. And what you're saying is true. There are so many fields, so many avenues, so many ventures that you can embark on to be successful doing the things you love, but there's just ignorance. Not a lot of people know about it. You know? It's not like mainstream like you said, there are so many jobs in sports, but you either think it's coaching, playing, or that's it. But there's communications, there's marketing, there's youth programs, there's community outreach, there's sales, there's finance, and then there's the medical. There's the people that put the grass, right? The ground
from top to bottom. There's a million.
Right. Uniforms. People make uniforms.
People who condition the balls, condition the bats. Like you can work in an array of different jobs in different like avenues or ventures, right? So what I wanted to do, or what I incorporated, is once a week we bring in people from different career fields, different career paths, different backgrounds to come and speak to the kids about what they do. So you say you do water treatment, bro. I would love for you to come out there.
Yeah.
Talk to the kids
Yes.
about what you do. And so my goal with this career, with this series, right, is to open up their eyes to these different, career fields, different options, right? Because nowadays, I want to be a TikTok star or pro or lawyer, But dude, there's so many other avenues to be successful and to be happy.
And you know what? On that same train of thought, you could make $50 an hour, right? With $100,000 or $200,000 in student debt, which translates into probably $17 an hour for 15 years. Or you can make $25 an hour with no debt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's just, there's a lot of jobs, a lot of careers that, I don't think college is a solution. I think education is a solution. You know what I mean? Education. You have to get educated. I don't care. Look, like there's many careers that require more OJT to get a license, like than going to college. Like, for example, right? You could become a realtor without going to college. And I'm not saying don't go to college. I'm not advocating for that. Mm-hmm. I'm advocating for education. There's a lot of, like, in the field that I'm in, you can, like a truck driver, like there's a lot of things that you can do, or there's other careers or other jobs that require different type of technical schooling, maybe not college, but it's still like if you're going to become an electrician or a plumber, you can be. And listen, those jobs make a lot of money. Like, people don't realize, when people think about a plumber, right? A lot of people think, and obviously you can do it through a career center, or there's certain aspects, or when you're gonna get into a certain advancement level in the career, it will require for you to have some college education. Like if you're going to be a contractor, but maybe I think even contractors, I think you can even do I don't know if you can do the licensing without. Regardless, I'm not advocating against college. I'm advocating for education. And a lot of people just want to go to college and have no idea why. And that's a big problem. That is a big problem. And there's so many careers that are just so not just under what is the word you said before? Not undersaturated. You said another word. There's so many careers that can't fill the positions. And people are retired, they can't. And you know what happens when there's a career that the positions can't be filled, the salaries go up.
Yep.
That's how it works,
Yeah. So once again, great that you brought it up, because it's also something that, we try to hit, because, not everyone is built to sit in a classroom or to sit in college. So one of the things we do is, yes, we obviously try to, encourage them to go to college, but we look for, like different technical schools or whatever vocation they have. So, a program that we use, which I really wish we would have had when we were in high school, it's called Cruder. It's this online program that we put all our high school kids in, right? And it gives them like this survey. They answer questions about themselves, and then it shows them all the career fields or all the categories that they'll be good at.
That's cool.
Science, tourism, community, whatever. They click on it. Then it shows them all the career fields. It shows them how much it pays, what schools offer that education.
It really narrows it down, huh?
Yeah. What schools offer that education, where they can get scholarships for that school.
Oh, wow.
If that job doesn't require a college degree, what technical school or what vocational school they have to go to, what certification they have to get. The average annual salary, like it gives them full detail rundown of everything.
You just taught me something.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which, like you said, it shows them, statistics on how many people join, how many people don't, right? The average salary, the average amount of money it's going to take to get that degree or to get that certification. So, we our goal is just to educate them and to show them that there are a vast a variety of vocations, of jobs that they can take part in, that is not just going to be a doctor or going to be a lawyer, which there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
As long as you want it, yeah.
Yeah, but there's way more avenues that you can be successful and happy in than just what's mainstream out there.
I think one of the biggest mistakes that young people make is finding a job instead of finding a career.
Agreed.
Because even I don't care if the career requires college or it doesn't require. Any career that requires a license or training, that's yours. It doesn't belong to the job. Mm-hmm. Whenever I think I'm always against getting licensed or advanced within a job that cannot be transferable. You know what I mean? Like if you work for a big company and that big company is giving you all these licenses and is giving you all these advancements, but it's only within that company, that's super dangerous because you come out of there and those skills are not translatable to another company,
Agreed.
Whereas if you have a license, a degree, a specialty that, yes, it can be used within the company. They're going to train you and everything, but that license, that degree, that training belongs to you. You take it to, if you don't like what they're doing, you take it to the next company.
And you go.
Yeah. But then, if all you had is a job, man, so it's like always advocate for, I don't care if you're a sculptor apprentice. I don't care if you're a barber. I don't care. But it's always great to have a degree that is not reliable or is not reliant to a company.
Agreed. And what you said about choosing a career as opposed to a job, I try to, enforce that into the kids because, especially the kids that come from this area that don't see a lot of money, they probably don't get an allowance from their parents. So when they get that first job, they get a paycheck for $300, $400, $500, right? Nowadays, or to us, that's not a lot, but to a kid that doesn't have much,
No income,
that $500 is a lot.
Yeah.
And then they start to lose, right? They stray away from their path. So instead of continuing to study, sports journalism or music theory or whatever it is that they initially wanted to embark on, now they get sidetracked and they pick up extra shifts, and now they're not going to take classes this semester because they want to stack their money, and then they just stray too far from the path.
Or being a crane operator at a construction site. I mean, you can operate the same crane on 50 sites, because you have that skill. Like, you know what I mean?
Agreed. Yeah, man.
So do you have any advice for our high school viewers? Anything you want to finish it off with?
Yeah. If I could give you guys something, is grind on whatever your craft is. Become a master of your craft, right? If you're living at home, you don't got bills, mom and dad or mom, grandma, whatever it is, still wake you up, cook, pay the bills. Use this time to grind, perfect your craft. If you're an athlete, work, grind, right? Weekends, days off, break, go grind, go run, go catch, go throw the ball, study film. It's a lot easier to study film now.
Yeah, you got huddle now. No excuse.
Exactly. When I was trying to watch film, I was watching on a VHS, rewind, play, rewind,
Awful.
God awful.
Same here.
So like, be a master of your craft, whatever it is. If it's football, baseball, playing the violin, underwater basket weaving, whatever is your thing, master your craft, right? Work until you can't get it wrong. Not till you get it right, but until you can't get it wrong. Nice. And and it's gonna come, the fruits of your labors will show at the end, and one coach told me something, when it comes to working and like grinding, it's not about getting 50% or 100% better like overnight. If every single day you get 1% better, just 1%, which is not a lot, but if every day you get 1% better, at the end of a year, you're 365% better than where you started.
Yeah.
You know, like it's about the continuous little grind, right? Realistically, when you brush your teeth in the morning, right? Are your teeth instantly like plaque free, cavity free, like perfect? No, right? Brushing your teeth one time doesn't give you perfect teeth. Brushing your teeth every single day, night and day, right? Is what gives you good breath, white teeth, right? And like strong, healthy enamel, right? Not brushing your teeth once.
Yes.
It's the combination of every single day doing that one little thing that amounts to Jerry smile.
I've heard a lot of analogies, never heard that one. I like that one. That's a good one.
But realistically, right?
Simple and
Like,
effective. I like it.
yeah, man. Like, if I have cavities now, brushing my teeth now is not going to do anything. But it's the combination, the stacking of every single day brushing your teeth that gives you a nice, fresh, healthy smile. So think about that when you're trying to put in work in the gym, when you're doing field work, when you're trying to get good at playing an instrument, when you're trying to get good at interviewing, because it's a skill. You know, you got to practice it. You know, whenever you're grinding, whenever you're working on something, it's the consistent dedication, the consistent discipline, the consistent grind that gets you places, right?
Nice.
You know, and just I know we're going to wrap it up because we've been here for a long time, but something super important for young people. Whenever TikTok came around, all the big TikTok stars you guys see, they didn't know they were going to be stars. They started doing it because they liked it. Because the same thing with the YouTube stars. When they started doing it, they didn't know they were going to be stars. They started doing it because they liked it. There comes a time, guys, and all this stuff is going into a professional level. But there comes a time where there's a next thing coming. But if all you're doing is following a trend because you think it gives results, you're late to that trend. You're late to it. So it's always good to find what you like and work in what you like. You know, that's once again, those people you guys, the people that you see as mega stars, all of those people have one thing in common. Any mega star, I don't care if it's a rapper, I don't care if it's the Paul brothers, I don't care who it is. They work very hard. Like you might see a video, like think about this, guys. If you see a video of somebody and you see a new video every day, and you might see a 2-minute video, but that 2-minute video might have taken 3 or 4 hours to put together. And this person is doing that every day. You know, so, you know, you think you want to be a TikTok star. You think you want to be like one of the things that we've done at this particular studio is I've recorded music with people and for people. And a lot of times people that I know that are not like necessarily like whether in the podcasting or in the music, or they'll tell me, I want to record. It's like, do you? Now I would like to record a song. I don't think you do. Like, do you? Well, let's go. And then once they've been in there for 4 hours and it's not done, like, it's not done. No, it's not done. Like, I don't think you wanted to do this. You know, you see the results. You see the 2-minute, you see the highlight, right? A pro football player highlight, the 30-second highlight. How long? It took him, what, 25 years to have a 30-second highlight? Years. So you see the highlight, you know what I mean? But life's not highlights, you know?
The grind.
Yeah.
Man. It's not the destination, it's the journey.
It's true.
Right.
Well, guys, that caps it up for us. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share. If you found anything useful, please share it to another parent, another athlete. Thank you for coming, brother.
Thank you for having me, man.
That wraps it up, guys.
Wraps it up.